Hi, welcome to the final episode of the year, episode 12 of Ask Giri the Physio Show. Today the topic we're going to discuss about is winter workout tips. So in this topic, don't think we're going to discuss, I'm going to give you a bunch of exercises to do in the winter time at home. No, we're going to talk about some concepts, some basic things, what you need to do if you are working out at home or if you are exercise enthusiast, so to know what is right and what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. So that kind of a tips it is, and there will be some exercise modulations will be given in this as well. Okay. The first tip number one is movement is medicine. That is universal, everybody should know that, and this comes before your Advil and Tylenol and ibuprofen and naproxen. Movement comes before all of them. That is the universally accepted truth, and we have a lot of evidence for this. So I want you to understand why movement is medicine, right? If you have severe acute back pain, yes, you need to rest a little bit. Then next, you might take some painkillers and anti-inflammatories, but what's the next in line? Your movement. You got to start moving gently according to that advice given by your healthcare practitioner or physiotherapist. That's where it starts. Movement is also a pain reliever, and movement is also secreting a lot of good hormones in your brain, which can also act as a pain reliever in your body. So that's very important. Move well and move often. Those are the words from Gray Cook from FMS, Functional Movement Screen. So you have to move well, that's very important. Then once you know that you're moving well, you move often, right? And if you see in the picture there, when you truly own a movement pattern, right, the strains and sprains isn't part of the picture at all. So before you start working out, and now you're not going to gym because of the COVID, but you are working, a lot of people are working out at home, but make sure you own the movement pattern before you load the movement pattern, right? And make sure you squat just properly before you load the squat. That's a small example. We also discussed that before in the first episode itself. Move well before you load the movement, right? So that's very important. So I'm going to kind of very much stress on that point, that make sure you move well first. That's your tip number one. Tip number, even the same thing, the tip number one, there's some other things I want to talk to you about from the Gray Cook desk as well. That's move well enough to be healthy. Move often enough to maintain it. Okay, that's very important. And then you have to be moving well to be functional. It has to be appropriate to your lifestyle, right? And also move often enough to learn the movement pattern, to own the movement pattern, and move enough to be fit, and move enough to adapt. Because your body have to adapt to any new movements, and if you're not moving enough, your body will not adapt to it. And also, if you have to learn any skill, move enough to attain that skill, and then you master that skill. And by how do you master the skill? By performing consistently. So these are all small tips for movements and why it is important and how do you do it. The patterns, the common patterns we see in the clinic coming to the movement physiology is a lot of people, a lot of patients, and they kind of look for fitness solution to a health problem, right? They come to us and say, I'm very tired, give me some exercises. So we ask, are you sleeping well? Are you getting your 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day? They say, no, I sleep 4 to 5 hours a day, and I spend time on laptop or binge watch some serials or something like that. If you're not sleeping well, that's a health problem. Okay, you cannot have a fitness solution for a health problem. So that's an example for that point number one. Point number two, some people ask for fitness solution for functional problem. For example, if you don't have a good ankle mobility and you're complaining to me, I'm not able to do squats, then I'm not going to teach you squats unless I fix your ankle mobility. Your ankle mobility is very important for your squat patterns. So you have a functional problem, fix that first before you go for a fitness solution. That's point number two. Point number three we're talking about is having a fitness solution or asking for a fitness solution for a skill problem. Okay, if I can't swing my club properly for the golf, right, and I need to strengthen my core muscles. So I might examine you and find out your core muscles are strong enough. All you need is to learn a proper swing technique. Then what you need is not a core strengthening exercise. You need a good a golf coach for you to work with, to improve your swing, improve your skill. So these are the things I want you to consider a little bit, brainstorm a little bit about what kind of problem do I have? Do I have a fitness problem? Do I have a health problem? Do I have a functional problem? Do I have a skill problem? Right? You cannot have fitness solution for all these other problems unless you address the other problem. I hope it makes sense for you guys, right? So that's all coming to the tip number one. So now, tip number two, is before you start an exercise program, whether in your home or in your gym, wherever it is, or a CrossFit or yoga or whatever it is, screen yourself first. See how your body is moving. What are your deficiencies in your body, right? Some of the examples I put in the slide there, try to toe touch and see how far is your flexibility. You're able to go down, or if you have any pain or you need compensating, and check your squat patterns. Are you able to squat properly? Without leaning forward too much. A lot of people you see that they kind of go too much forward when they squat. And I always prescribe overhead squats for my patients. For example, take a pole or something like that, and I would ask them to hold it up, straight up. Maintain this pole on the top. You can use your broomstick if you want, and then try to be there when you squat down, right? So try not to go forward here. Fix your patterns like that. So check how you can squat there. That's important. And also ankle mobility. Right? Screen yourself, how good is your ankle mobility. We have done it in one of the previous episodes, how to check your ankle mobility. Make sure you have enough relative dorsiflexion in your foot. So you're able to move your leg bone on top of your ankle bone. That's very important. We call it relative dorsiflexion. So see if you can have good ankle mobility. That's key for a lot of things, your ankle mobility, right? And hip stability. So I want you to stand in single leg standing. So hold your hands like this and try to stand in single leg and see if you can maintain that balance. And if you can, then try to do some single leg work and see if you can maintain that stability in the hip without losing your stability. So all these things are very important. This is just some of them to screen. Okay, there's a lot of other things you can screen. For example, thoracic spine mobility is a very important thing to screen. Neck mobility, shoulder mobility. There's so many things. So kind of head to toe, do a screening. Okay, and also stand in front of the mirror and do some body mapping and see how your body is. Is it kind of more or less symmetrical and balanced? And look at yourself in the front, look at it in the side, and just appreciate it. Appreciate your body and see where you are at and what has to be worked on. And if you need help with that, consult your physiotherapist to do a complete screening, a functional screening or body screening, and identify all the dysfunctions or deficiencies you have from head to toe and work on it first. Get your body to optimal level so that you can start loading them and exercise them in the future. Okay, that's very important. So that's why my second greatest tip for you guys to start working out in the home. Tip number 3 is resistance training. It's very important. A lot of people say, what do you do for workout? So I go for a walk, I go for a run, I do bike for 10 minutes and elliptical for 10 minutes at home. I run on the treadmill for 30 minutes. They're all good. The cardiorespiratory exercises are really good, endurance exercise is good. But if resistance training is not part of your workout program, you are doing something not right. You must include resistance training. Again, consult with your healthcare professional and physiotherapist to see where you can start, where your body is to, how much resistance or what kind of exercises they can prescribe you a beautiful exercise program. Why resistance training is important? Because especially after 40, a lot of my patients are about 35, 40 years old as well. So I always tell them, right, after 40 and your muscles do start dying after that. There is a physiological condition called sarcopenia. So research says on an average, you lose about 3% of your muscle mass every year when you don't do resistance exercise, right? So are you doing any resistance exercise? Are you willing to take 3% muscle mass loss every year? You have to decide, right? You can't just do only running and walking and biking and elliptical and treadmill. You must get the resistance go through your body. It can be body weight, it can be a piece of dumbbell or a kettlebell, whatever it is, or even milk jug with water filled in it. I do not care what kind of resistance you use, but you must go through resistance training. And also, especially for men, it's very important, your testosterone production. And there is a lot of evidence to show resistance exercise does boost your testosterone. So that is also very important for men's health as well. And also the hormones, neurohormones you secrete when you do resistance exercises. There's so much evidence out there to prove resistance exercises are good for your body. Again, do you need a lot of big equipments and $1 million machines in your house in the basement for exercises? No. The one training equipment you always have is your body. So body weight training. So this in winter, when you can't access the gyms, how you can use your body weight training. What are the principles behind body weight training and how can you use it? Some people think it's boring, oh my God, it's very challenging. Like body weight exercises are challenging. You can make it as challenging as you want to, right? So now I'm going to give you some tips about what are the things you can alter? What are the variables you can alter when you do body weight training so that you can be not bored and also make your body to challenge and adapt and to different modes and things like that. So the key variables of body weight training are 3: volume, tempo, and base of support. We're going to do it I'm going to demonstrate a little bit in detail what I mean by it, right? Volume is number of repetitions, right? For example, if you can do only 5 push-ups, that's okay. How to try to increase the volume by 10 or 20% at a time. So go from 5 to 7. Instead of doing 5, slowly go to 1 week you do 5 reps. Next week go to 7 push-ups. And the week after that you can go for 8 push-ups or 9 push-ups, right? So slowly increase the volume, the repetitions of it. That's one way to alter or to gain from the body weight training. Because you're going to delay the onset of fatigue the muscles go through when you're doing a slow progression of the volume, right? And also there's another technique called ladder technique. For example, I put a picture of the pull-ups there. So for pull-ups is a kind of a difficult exercise to do for a lot of people. So for example, if you can do just 1 pull-up, come down, rest for about 20-30 seconds, go for another 2 pull-ups, come down, rest for another 20-30 seconds, then go for 3 pull-ups and rest. So basically you actually did 6 pull-ups there with breaks and rest. That's called ladder technique. So you don't have to try to go for 6 pull-ups at a straight and trying to really fatigue and demotivated and then having really sore shoulders or back or neck and aggravating the neck issues, because a lot of people, when they can't have enough strength in the shoulders, they kind of work their neck muscles too much. So to avoid all those things, you can always use the ladder technique. There's always a place to start. And do not say, oh, I can't do pull-ups, this is like too heavy for me. Start with 1, right? Start with 1 rep. Nobody cares. You're working out for yourself, right? Your body, you can decide what you want to do with it. So start with 1 and then take a break, then 2 more, take a break, then 3 more, take a break. There you got 6 pull-ups right there. So that's ladder technique. This ladder technique you can use it for anything, any exercise you want in body weight, whether it's a push-up or pull-up or chin-up or whatever it is, you can do it. So remember volume. So increase as speed your body allows you to do and whatever way you want to do it. Tempo. This is a concept a lot of people do not know about, the tempo. It's kind of what kind of a predetermined cadence you're using to complete each rep, right? For each movement, you can divide them into phases, right? You have a concentric phase and then rest and then eccentric phase and rest. I'm going to demonstrate that so you understand that better. I'm going to demonstrate by doing a push-up, okay? So let's do that. So I'm going to explain this 3-1-3-1 tempo for push-up here. So the starting position for regular push-up, okay? So the eccentric phase, I'm going to take 3 seconds to go down. And I'm going to rest here for 1 second. And the concentric, I'm going to take 3 seconds and rest here for 1 second. So this is 3-1-3-1 tempo. So eccentric 3 seconds, rest 1 second, and then concentric 3 seconds, rest 1 second. So this is the one kind of tempo. So if you want to alter it, if you want to add a power component to it, if I want to add a different stimulus to my body so it can adapt to a different stimulus, I'm going to change the tempo. So I'm going to go 3-1, explode and 1. So for example, so I'm going to take 3 seconds again for my eccentric, 1 second, and then explode and 1 second. So that power, I'm including a power component to my push-up by changing that variable. So that's how you can play with the different durations and you can make the exercise very interesting. Depends on what you want to achieve. Is it strength or power, or you can do so many different variations to it. A small example, you can do the same thing with squats and lunges, forward lunges, side lunges, inline lunges. So many things you can add to this based on the tempo. So we talked about volume and we talked about the tempo. The third thing is base of support. So how we can alter the base of support to make the exercise challenging. We all in our developmental milestones, when we grew up from the baby to the standing in the first year of our life, the only way we learned new things by reducing the base of support, right? When you're on your back, lying down on your back, from there we came to on our tummy, and then we kind of came up, and then we reduced the base of support, and then from there we came to sit, and then we crawled, and that's a 4 point. From there you came to sit, that's a small narrow base. From sitting we went to kneeling, that's narrower than sitting. From kneeling we came to half kneeling and standing, which is much more narrower. So what we did throughout our developmental milestone is we increased the distance of our center of gravity from the ground, and also we decreased the base of support. That is how we learned the movement patterns in our developmental milestone. We can use the same approach and our technique to also complicate things for your exercise, to make it more challenging and different stimulus for your body. I'm going to show you a small example of how to change the base of support and make your exercise progression as well. So right now I have 6 points of contact here, 2 from my hands, 2 from my knees, and 2 from my feet. So I have 6 points of contact. That's my base of support right now. So I'm going to change it from 6. I can go to 5, alternating the 5 points of base of support, and or I can take 2 off, right? There you go. So actually I took like 3 points of contact off. Now I'm on 3 point of contact. So that's a different one, right? Again, 3 point, reduce my base of support, challenging my postural control. It has to stabilize. The body wants to rotate and flex and extend, but my muscles have to contract them to keep them in neutral. So that is a challenge. That's how you activate the muscles in there. And if you want to go the other way, you can also go, take both my knees off, right? And then go. There you go. I'm in just 3 points. This is another way to do it. If you want to make it more challenging, you can also go alternate like that and then try. See, there you go. So that's how you alter the base of support and make your exercise challenging. You can do the same thing in a lot of other exercises also. Just I want to teach you guys the concept so you can make your exercise more interesting, and that's more important for you to learn than teaching you 10 exercises and ask you to do at home. So when you like to progress your bodyweight exercise at home, you can adjust any variables you want. You can adjust the volume or tempo or the base of support, and then keep it kind of fresh, and kind of keep changing the stimulus to your body, and that kind of train the body and make the body to adapt and accommodate to the new stimulus. It will be more fun that way. Tip number 4, I love this part, this breathing. How many times do you think I'll have to tell my patients to breathe when they are in the clinic, when they're especially doing exercises? Oh, a lot of people do not breathe very well, right? Breathing is the first thing we do when we come into this whole life or enter this world, right? It's a very basic thing and prerequisites for the life. And it is, a lot of people, what they don't know about is it is one of the foundation of your core function and performance. A lot of people do not connect breathing and core, but it is very, very well connected. Yeah. Without proper breathing, your inner core cannot activate properly. It cannot activate and also sequence. We will talk about what is activation and what is sequence later. Inner core muscles. When you talk about core, there is some global outer core muscles, and there is inner core muscles. They are very small muscles close to the spine, and some deep muscles inside. That's called inner core muscles, right? And you see a number there, 14,000. What is 14,000? If you didn't know that, that's how many number of times we breathe in a day. 14,000 times. Wow, are we doing that right? A lot of people we see with the dysfunctional breathing pattern. Like I always assess breathing when I do our regular any kind of assessment. I'll ask the people to sit down, relax, take a deep breath, right? You see a lot of people go like, they move the chest quite a bit in there. So they became a chest breather sometime in their lifetime, and they do not use this big guy right here, the diaphragm, right? That's not working at all. And then I have to go through why it is important and go through the right movement pattern techniques and then teach them the right way of breathing. You check your breathing, take your shirt off and stand in front of the mirror and just take a relaxed deep breathing. See which body parts are moving. Is it your chest going up and down? Is your tummy coming up and down? Front and back. So this is the guy you're supposed to move. Okay, that's very, very important, not the chest. right? And you can easily retrain it. If you just work on your diaphragmatic breathing patterns every day, it's just very easy to change, unless you have some cardiopulmonary complications. So cardiopulmonary physiotherapy is a part of physiotherapy as well, which a lot of people do not know. They all think orthopedics and neurology and women's health, but cardiopulmonary physical therapy, especially in the COVID era, the post-COVID patients' breathing gets affected quite a bit because of the COVID's impact in the lungs. So post-COVID physiotherapy is a big branch and field. This is the message I want to get out to the people who got infected by the virus and who's recovered. You will have breathing issues most of the times. Please consult your physiotherapist to go through some cardiopulmonary physiotherapy. We can help you with your breathing techniques, your diaphragmatic expansion, segmental expansion, lung expansion, your rib cage mobility, and a lot of things we can teach you which will be very beneficial for you. So, post-COVID breathing exercises, post-COVID physiotherapy, do not forget about it. So, what do you mean by sequence? Sequence means, for example, if I have to reach for something like that, or I can make a fist here, before I even contracted the fist, my inner core muscles has to contract first to stabilize my core before I grip anything here. So, inner core has to activate first, and then that sequence has to start first for that other sequence to happen. So, very precise level of activation. When this sequencing not happening properly, your ligaments and tendons and the muscles around that area, or the joints around that area in the lower back or in the spine, they're going to go through a lot of stress, and they're going to have a lot of wear and tear in that area. So that's why you get back pains and all the repetitive stress injuries and things like that to your spine and other parts of the body. So that's why it's very, very important for you to activate the inner core muscles. To activate the inner core muscles, you need proper functional breathing pattern. If it's dysfunctional, inner core doesn't activate, your activation and sequence get affected, you're going to put stress on tendons and joints in the other areas, then you can have a problem. So that's how breathing related to your pain and the pain you've been having. So if you're not paid attention so far about your breathing, please do it now. Proper breathing is the first function of the core. Do not forget that. It's not having a nice beautiful six-pack in your tummy or something else. The first function of the core is proper breathing. You see the diagram there, you see that small kind of a canister. That's what I always tell the analogy to my patients of a pop can, right? The top of the pop can is your diaphragm, the bottom of the pop can is your pelvic floor, and the front of the pop can is your abdominal muscles, the back of the pop can is your back muscles. That canister pressure has to be maintained very well for a lot of good functions of your breathing, thoracic spine issues, and other internal organ functions and pelvic floor functions and other pelvic organ functions. Your thorax, your thoracic pressure, intra-abdominal pressure, and the pelvic floor pressure, defecation, urination, sexual functions, they're all connected together. And breathing plays a very vital important role in connecting all this together. So please breathe properly. Check yourself first. And also know your diaphragm. A lot of people don't know about this one muscle there, the big dome muscle. You see that. It's a humongous muscle, and you have, both sides, you have diaphragm, and it's connected by that. Sorry, I went back here. Yeah, it's a big dome muscle. It's all the way attaching, like whole thing here on the ribs, going back all the way to the spine. Our central tendon goes down all the way to the lower back as well, right? It's a big dome. This dome has to do this nicely, so that all the big blood vessels and nerves coming through them can pass through that dome very easily, so that your lower legs and pelvic organs and other organs can get good blood supply and good oxygen. If you don't use the dome really well, the piston action of the dome really well, you're not giving yourself good blood supply down there, below here. So please use your diaphragm very well. It has three important functions, right? The mechanical function, neurological function, and chemical function. What is the mechanical function? As I just told you, the piston action. The piston action of the diaphragm is very important to compress the organs and also work with the pelvic floor for the movement and the function of the organs there and maintaining the intra-abdominal pressure. Neurological function. Breathing through the diaphragm is the only tool you have to switch your mode from sympathetic to parasympathetic. I'm going to talk about it as a different episode, the polyvagal theory. It's very interesting topic that's very helpful for the people with anxiousness and other depression, other things, how to switch your mode from sympathetic to parasympathetic mode. Sympathetic is your flight or fight mode. Your parasympathetic is your rest and digest mode, right? If you're in this mode, how to go to this mode. The only thing which connects these two modes is your breathing. Just by breathing, you can change your mode from sympathetic to parasympathetic. right? And we'll talk in detail in that episode about it. And that is your neurological function of your diaphragm. How can you switch from this state to that state? And that's very important, especially in this pandemic era. You know, a lot of people are depressed and anxious about so many uncertainties in the world. Every single person in the world is affected by something or other. And how you calm down yourself. How do you kind of switch that mode so that there is some peace prevails in the world? And chemical function is happening to the exchange of gases, right, in the lungs. So, and also that's happening because of your breathing with the diaphragm. So that's the chemical things also. So those are 3 important functions of the diaphragm which you should know. Breathing is important. Check yourself how you are breathing. Put one hand on the chest, one on the tummy. Take a deep breath and see which hand is moving. This hand should not be moving. It should be very quiet. Only your tummy should come out and go in. Check yourself. And if you don't have a good breathing pattern, take some professional help because that is very, very, very important. Oops. The last tip for the day is avoid postural stress. You must be asking, Giri, we thought we were going to get some exercises from you in this winter workout tips. You're talking about breathing, posture, and you're talking about movement is medicine and all this. What's going on? I will tell you, this is important. Anybody can teach you an exercise, but the concepts and what is important, what are the stress going through your body. Even if you don't do any exercises, if you avoid these stresses, you will be in a better place. That is why it's important for me. And you can look at the picture, how much stress is going on, especially in this cell phone world and smartphone world. How many people you have seen using the cell phone like this? And how many people have you seen using the cell phone like this? You know the answer very well. And how much stress is going through your body, right? When you like this, you're about 60 degrees flexed and you're putting about 60 pounds more pressure. Your head, human adult head weighs about 20 pounds. Every inch you move it forward, you're putting undue stress, pressure in the back of the spine, and in the whole spine is getting affected, right? So there is a lot of studies out there. We also did a episode on this. It's in our Insta Physical Therapy YouTube video about text neck syndrome. There's more how to assess, how to treat, what are the exercises to do. You can check it out in our Insta YouTube channel, Insta Physical Therapy YouTube channel. And here just a small thing. I know averagely people are spending about 2 to 4 hours per day on the cell phone, on the smartphone. Right? You can also check the timer in your cell phone itself, your usage, and you will know how much it is. That's with that posture, with 60 pounds of weight or 300% more pressure to your spine, 2 to 4 hours a day. That is 700 to 1,400 hours per year. We are adding more pressure to our spine. Right? Is it needed? How can we change it? Those are the postures in the pictures. Do you want to adapt? I always correct people in my waiting room actually. I go in the front and I tell, I do not want you to look at your phone like this. Can you bring your hands up there? Can you hold it there? You can rest your elbows if you want. You keep it up and work if you want to. Your usage time also will reduce because holding the phone like this and working is not easy compared to here. That's why you won't be working for a long time too, and a good posture as well, right? So that's a lot of hours, guys, a lot of stress. Even if you don't do any exercises, change this habit, your spine will thank you very much. That is why I added this tip for you. And I wish you happy holidays from our whole team from Ask Giri, the Physio Show. My videographer Alvin, my marketing manager, my whole team here, physios, PT assistants, everybody, we wish you happy holidays. It's been a very different year this year. Hopefully 2021 brings us a better year and also a lot of happiness to each one of us in this world. And if you like this episode, please share and subscribe with your friends. If you have any questions, if you have any topics you want me to discuss in the show, email me at giri@physioshow.ca. Or if you missed out any of the episode, this is the 12th episode we are doing this year. This is the final episode for the year 2020. If you missed any of the previous episodes or if you want to watch it, go to physioshow.ca. You can watch all the previous episodes there. Thank you so much once again. I will see you next year, 2021. Bye.